Good morning, everyone. I'm Tanisha Foster, and I'm a representative of the University of Alabama's Health Education Department. I'm hoping today that you all will take some good information out of today's workshop. So, first, let me start by giving you a little bit of information about what diabetes is. Diabetes is a disease that has resulted from high blood sugar levels, all because your body has failed to produce little or no insulin at all. This disease affects millions of Americans every single year. The contributing factors vary anywhere from poor diet, a lack of exercise, even family genetics or family history. So today I'm going to bring some awareness to this particular disease. For those of you who can't stay the entire duration of the workshop, or if you have any colleagues that are not present right now, let everyone know that I will present this conference 3 times today here in this auditorium. That way everyone on staff will have an opportunity to attend the sessions. These sessions today should not last more than 15 minutes. So again, we'll be meeting here at least 3 times today, right now, again at 1:30, as well as at 4:30 in this auditorium. So when you guys leave today, you'll be knowledgeable of what diabetes is and how it affects you, how it affects your loved ones, and other Americans, citizens of the world. You will know also how to use a glucometer machine to test your blood sugar levels. And you'll also know how to properly discard your biohazardous waste to keep down infectious diseases and contamination. Can anyone here give me a textbook definition of diabetes?
Diabetes is when your body does not produce enough insulin to live.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Diabetes is a disease where your body can't produce, or it produces very little of the hormone called insulin. Insulin is created in the pancreas, an organ that's in your abdomen, and carbohydrates are not properly metabolized. Sugar levels are elevated in the blood, and there's no energy production for the body. So let's view this diagram here on the overhead that depicts how a healthy body utilizes insulin. So let's pretend for a moment. Let's pretend that you and your family are going to go out for dinner tonight. You're going to go to your favorite restaurant, and we'll say that restaurant is Olive Garden. So you sit down with your family, you order your meal that's rich in carbohydrates. You take a bite. The minute you take that bite, your body begins to break down the carbs that you've eaten and changes that into sugar. We're going to call that sugar glucose. So that glucose is picked up by the blood, so that blood can deposit this energy deposition into the rest of the tissues in the body for energy. So then your pancreas picks up or senses that blood sugars are up, and it begins to make insulin. When this insulin is made or picked up, it takes the carbohydrates and it deposits into the different tissues of your body. It acts as a carrier, so to speak. Let's see this picture on the left. It shows a normal pancreas that actually produces the proper amounts of insulin. As you can see here, you have sugar molecules that are deposited into the pancreas. The insulin picks that up, and it takes that sugar molecule out to the rest of the body for energy. This picture here on the right, it depicts or demonstrates a pancreas that has no insulin at all. Excuse me, or very little. So those sugar molecules are deposited into the pancreas, but not able to be deposited into other tissues of the body. You hear of people who suffer from type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Does anyone know the difference between the two? Okay, well, I'll explain that. I'll be happy to explain that. So type 2 diabetes makes very little insulin so that only small amount of sugar can be deposited into the body, into those major tissues for function. In type 1 diabetes, the body makes absolutely no insulin at all. What exactly does this mean if the body is making no insulin at all?
Your body is not producing it. It doesn't have something that it needs on a daily basis.
Exactly, and that something on a daily basis is energy. So when your body makes no insulin, sugar cannot be deposited into those major tissues. Your body will begin to exhibit a number of symptoms as a result of lack of energy or lack of these sugar molecules. Symptoms will range anywhere from frequent urination to unusual thirst, hunger, even some weight loss. Extreme fatigue and irritability are definitely symptoms of diabetes. And you can imagine why so if there is very little room for energy production. Blurred vision, so you have problems with your eyesight. And because those major tissues are not receiving the oxygen that's needed, the energy that's needed, then cuts and bruises are going to be slow to heal in those in problematic areas. So what's this fancy machine that we have here? Does anybody know what this is? That's right. This is called a glucometer. And what this does is it measures the concentration of sugar in the blood. So let's practice using this. Let me demonstrate how we're going to use this. So in order to use this, first you're going to turn on the machine. You're going to take this test strip that we have here, and you're going to insert this test strip into the machine right here where the groove is pointing out. This little groove here is going to be where you deposit a drop of blood that you've pricked from one of your fingers. This glucometer machine will then measure the concentration of sugar in your blood. You all, whenever you use blood or blood is involved or any bodily fluids, you want to make good practice of discarding those used strips into a biohazard bag or a biohazard container, such as this one, to keep down cross-contamination or the spread of infectious diseases. So you've pricked your finger, you've deposited a drop of blood onto the machine, and you get back a reading of a number. What do these numbers mean?
It's the indication whether your blood sugar is high or low.
Perfect. That is exactly correct. These numbers are indicative of high blood sugars or low blood sugars. These numbers must consistently read a certain range before you're diagnosed or deemed a diabetic. So for an example, in an individual that eats regularly without fasting, if their numbers are consistently 200 or above, that may be an indication that that individual is suffering from diabetes. An individual who have numbers from 140 to 199 may be on the brinks of diabetes and may need to make some adjustments to diet, increase in exercise, and things of that nature. And numbers that are from 139 or below, that is a normal blood sugar range. Remember, I want you guys to keep in mind that these numbers are from consistent readings. So if you prick your fingers today and your blood sugar is a little high because you had Snickers and cake at lunch, and that number is extremely high, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have diabetes. So there are a few points that I want to drive home that you all should remember. First point is type 2 diabetes makes very little insulin. If it makes very little insulin, that means some sugar can still be distributed to certain tissues, but that is still an abnormality. Additionally, type 1 diabetes makes no insulin. So we will have to treat that. Both of these types of diabetes can be treated with insulin injections. There are several symptoms of diabetes. We've covered a lot of those, such as the fatigue and irritability, frequent urination, and individuals may exhibit one of those symptoms, a few or many. There's no textbook case of how many symptoms an individual would exhibit. And another thing that I want you all to remember is whenever you are checking your blood sugars or handling bodily fluids, such as insulin injections or utilizing your glucometer, you're going to properly discard those materials in a red biohazard waste bag, such as this one. Right now, I'll open up the floor for any questions that you all may have.